And we are now getting on Facebook Live. There it is. Hopefully. This is the Parent Advocate Network. And let's see what I can do. Tigger, Jack, what's going on? Hold on. Hello. Is Misty here? Oh, she's gonna come. Ah, yay! Hi, Misty. You're muted.
I know. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Welcome to the Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families and the Parent Advocate Network. We are here to talk about ways in which we can support family values, bring children home, and stop the tyranny against parents and families all across the country today. And I am happy to see all of you here tonight and hope that we can get a few more people involved in the discussion. I was given a few tips and information that I would like to pass on with everybody. And we start off our meetings with a little bit of soothing music because we need to take time for self-care. Everybody needs to take time for self-care and time to breathe, because this is really difficult what we're doing here. There's a lot of people who are getting burnt out because they have not been able to take time for self-care. And we're in a really hard situation here. And it is important that we stay healthy and strong. And together we will overcome with clear minds, bodies, and hearts. And we do this for the love of our children everywhere. And so the Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families has a YouTube channel. We provide links for people to check out there about meditation, music of different kinds. Tonight we are playing some flute music. And you can go to YouTube. Hold on, I got to make sure I have the right page here to share with everybody. So this is the music we are listening to right now. And I can even make it so. This is flute music. And for those of you who are just able to listen in, we appreciate you coming on board. And you can, when you do have access to a computer, just go to Coalition for Protection on YouTube. And there will be links to various types of music and other meditation material, as well as our continuing progress in the Parent Advocate Network. I have been asked to send a link to another Parent Advocate participant that would like to get in on this call. And so if you give me a moment, let me take care of that. And then I would probably be best to, I'm muted. No, I'm not. Okay. So then we're going to do live on Facebook. Let everybody know we're here. And so I've been hearing also that there's hurt feelings going on out there. Parents who feel they are being targeted by other parent advocates, and I want you to know that you are all loved and we are all here to help, and we are all human. And so there will be times when feelings will get hurt. And if you are on the call listening, you are not able to speak here on the Parent Advocate Network. I do believe, however, that you can still send questions. If you cannot send them through this this communication board, then I would ask you to ask the questions on our other messenger, Alicia. So if you are there at the Forum to Expose CPS, I will read your messages and relay them to the rest of the parent advocates. And so here we go. I'm sharing the Zoom webinar on Facebook live so that we can have people tune in remotely as well. And I'm happy that all of you are attending this meeting, and I really appreciate it, because we can and will overcome. Hold on. Ha! Now I'm talking out. Wait. Okay, I gotta stop something here. Hold on. All right, so Fernando. You can do the meeting. And somebody is trying to log on. And let's see. Hello. Yes, we are live, Misty, and I have 3 attendees that are on their phones and in here listening. And I wanted to share some information that Fernando had brought to my attention. Let me double check. This is some of what we've been looking at as far as enforcing federal laws within regards to our rights as parents and our civil rights, our constitutional rights. And so Fernando has shared with us tonight this Shriver Center, National Center on Poverty Law, Federal Practice Manual for Legal Aid Attorneys. And this can go for any number of different federal violations. Yes, good. I'm glad that it's working, Fernando. And so here we are. Fernando has shared, like I said, this manual. You can find it online. The email or the web address is www.federalpracticemanual.org. And it's /chapter 8/section 1. And this is what you can do to enforce your federal rights against states. And I want to make sure that I'm going to be adding this as a link on the Coalition for Protection website, and you can go to that site at www.coalition4, that's the number 4, protection.com, and we have a lot of different information available there. I can show you here. This is the site, and this site is in continuous development. Currently, I am working on state-by-state parental rights handbooks for everybody to be able to get and pass out and share with parents, new parents, parents who are thinking of becoming parents. You know, a lot of what we have been facing these days is a lack of education in the school system. Public education no longer provides home ec classes for students in high school. We have sex ed, but there's no real connection to what your rights are as an adult. And most of the young children that are becoming adults end up getting pregnant. And this is a big market for the Department of Children and Family Services to target, because these parents do not know their rights and do not know how to enforce their rights when dealing with social services and other entities. And so our job here as parent advocates is to help educate these young parents as to what their rights are, and also to help educate parents on being parents. So I hope that you will join us and help us to stop the continual seizure of children from parents who are just becoming parents and parents who have been parents for a long time, but don't have the resources or the education to be able to enforce their rights. And again, I go back to this Federal Practice Manual from the Shriver Center. I want to make sure that everybody gets the web address of this page. It is a very useful page, and you can go and look through all of the different resources that it talks about here. The Federal Practice Manual for Legal Aid Attorneys, jurisdiction. Here's jurisdiction, courts of limited jurisdiction, and pleading requirements, all of this. And so it's a great resource, and I hope everybody will take advantage of it. And I think I'm going to stop this music here, or maybe not. I'll just let it keep going for the moment. I wanted to also share with everybody there is this continual confusion happening about whether or not family court has jurisdiction over your family, and whether or not you have inalienable rights or fundamental rights as a parent. And there are laws in each state that contradict federal law, and this is something that needs to be addressed on a big scale, and I hope that we can work on that. Hold on, I have another attendee. HP is rejoining, and so we will have another panelist added to this. And here we want to say hello. And I think that the soothing music can stop now. But, you know, we all need to remember to take time for self-care. And I hope that you enjoyed that music. And I hope that you will take time in your day for personal time to re-energize. We have a lot of people that are in distress, and there are parents who are trying to commit suicide and because they don't know what else to do. And for those parents out there who are stepping up and consulting and assisting these parents, I mean, that's just a wonderful thing, and I hope that we can help other parents through this process so that they don't consider committing suicide, and we can stop the tyranny and destruction of our families everywhere. And HP, welcome to the Parent Advocate Network. Would you like to introduce yourself? I could unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. Hello? Hello? Okay, well, I guess that HP is going to, hello, hi there, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself? Well, welcome. I'm glad that you have come to the Parent Advocate meeting, and we are talking about the fact that federal law is the law of the land, and that parents who have been told otherwise were misinformed, and there are I'm sorry, I can't remember the word right now.
Say Lyra. Hi, Lyra.
Hi, Misty.
How's it going, honey?
I'm
okay,
at a loss for words right now, and
that's okay. Down here, we have this amazing life, love. This is my friend, amazing Stephanie, and I don't know why she's having maybe some microphone difficulties, but I want to tell her that what I would do is get off and come back on, and it asks you if you want to use device audio. Click yes, and then I think that will resolve the problem, because I've experienced this on Zoom calls, so I think that's what's going on. We definitely want to hear from you, sister. I'm glad that you made it to this call. Thank you so much. So if you want to try to resolve it, I don't know if you're there, if you can try to see if you can fix the problem. Otherwise, try back, or just listen is fine too, but I want to hear from you.
So Misty, how's it been going?
Oh, it's going very well, I would say. It seems like everybody's projects are coming together, and a lot of us seem to have a lot of the same visions for our now and our future with regard to children and regard to families and regard to some things that she says she can't hear. Oh, so she didn't hear anything I said.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let me 1 second. So I'll message her. Here, actually, we can message her right here. So, but things are going well. I'm in Eastern Washington. I think there's a good project that we can do here. I can be support to some people in Eastern Washington. I have a room available at the moment for some various things, but I'm finding it's better to work on these projects together if we can, while we, like if we can for a few days at a time with various things. Is this making sense? Sorry, I got distracted.
No, you're making very good sense. And this is one of the things we've been talking about for a while now, is providing safe houses for parents who are being targeted by the Department of Child and Family Services. This is the whole family. We're not just talking about one or the other member or the child, right?
Right. So I know what seems to be something that I'm just looking into or looking for are places who would be willing to have, who are already designated as churches.
Yes.
And who are willing to take on families. I'm looking for appropriate places right now where they're good and safe for family, for kids, for everybody, and anybody willing to what is it? It's like just take on you had told me that a church can say they're going to take care of a family and help address. Provide sanctuary. Yeah, that's it. I'm looking for that. Any and all willing to do such a thing maybe should get on a list.
Well, there is 800 churches. Okay, this is what I learned last week. There are 800 churches in the United States that currently provide sanctuary for illegal immigrants and their families. They provide this sanctuary to enable them to be either taken to Canada, taken back to their homeland, or become citizens of the United States of America. So that's what they're doing right now. And what I hope we can do is start getting some of these sanctuary churches to also assist and support family values and support families in this country that are being targeted.
Right.
And then I also would have been doing some more research. I was talking about how some people are confused about whether or not a state has immunity, whether judges have immunity, and official public officers have immunity. And I wanted to share with you all what is available to read. There's more that you can read on the coalitionforprotection.com website. Under the state Supreme Court, we talk about the fact that there's law in U.S. law code. It is 42 U.S. code subsection, I think is what it is, 12202, state immunity. A state shall not be immune under the 11th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States for an action in federal or state court of competent jurisdiction for a violation of this chapter. In any action against a state for a violation of the requirements of this chapter, remedies, including remedies both at law and in equity, are available for such a violation of the same extent as such remedies are available when such a violation in action against any public or private entity other than a state. So then I want to share, because from there we can go and look And Fernando had provided this information for us, talking about the authority for fines, damages caused by crimes by government officers. And these damages were determined by government itself for the violations listed. Breach, violation of oath of office, $250,000. Here's the USC code, 18 USC 3571. Denied proper warrants. If you have been violated and did not receive any warrants before they removed your children, before they came into your household, then you can file a claim against them for being denied due process, denied proper warrants, denied right of reasonable defense arguments, defensive evidence records denied, right of truth in evidence, slavery, which is forced compliance to contracts not held. This is RICO. Again, look at this. Denied provisions in the Constitution, $250,000 for each provision you were denied. Okay? Keep reading.
I have a hell of a case.
Yeah. So mail threats, fraud, falsification of documents, perjury, subordination of perjury, grand theft. Okay, our children are being taken away from us. That's pretty much grand theft, if you ask me. And racketeering, that's the RICO again. Racketeering, civil, criminal, and civil racketeering charges can be lodged against any government official. Okay? This is the law, the true law of the United States of America. The other part of this law is actually that the United States has signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay? This declaration has been signed by over 52 different countries around the world, and the United States signed it in 1992. And I wanted to share with you. Oh, I have to go and find it. Hold on. Sorry about that. So, is Stephanie here? Stephanie, are you able to talk? Have you been able to fix the audio on your?
I just messaged her. She'll try in a minute to do what I suggested.
Okay, so there are a lot of people I've been talking to, finding out what's going on. There's the Million Parent March, which is coming up in September, and I have been working diligently on the parental rights booklets, and I'm not quite done, but I'm almost there. But I wanted to show you this. I want to share with everybody that this is just the shortened version of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is being provided in the parental rights booklet.
Why don't you read it for us? Can you read it for us?
So,
okay.
So, like I say, it was ratified in 1948 by the UN, and this is right after World War II. Everybody is in shock and horror at what happened with World War II and the destruction of life and liberty around the world. And Eleanor Roosevelt helped to create this document. The United States did not ratify it in this country until 1992, but since then, this document holds for everyone. And so what I like to share is just shortened version of it. And so Article 1, right to equality. Article 2, freedom from discrimination. Article 3, right to life, liberty, personal security. Article 4, freedom from slavery. Article 5, freedom from torture and degrading treatment. Article 6, right to recognition as a person before the law. Article 7, right to equality before the law. Article 8, right to remedy for by competent tribunal. This is the Human Rights Tribunal right there. Article 9, freedom from arbitrary arrest and exile. Article 10, right to fair public hearing. Article 11, right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. Article 12, freedom from interference with privacy, family, home, correspondence. Then we go to Article 13, right to free movement in and out of the country. Article 14, right to asylum in another country from persecution. Article 15, right to a nationality and the freedom to change it. Article 16, right to marriage and family. Right to family. Okay, this is the second time Article 17, right to own property. Article 18, freedom of belief and religion. Article 19, freedom of opinion and information. Article 20, right of peaceful assembly and association. Excuse me. Article 21, right to participate in government and in free elections. Article 22, right to Social Security. Article 23, right to desirable work and to join trade unions. Article 24, right to rest and leisure. Right. Article 25, right to adequate living standard. Article 26, right to education. Article 27, right to participate in the cultural life of community. Article 28, right to a social order that articulates this document. Article 29, community duties essential to free and full development. And then Article 30, freedom from state or personal interference in the above rights. And for more information and further explanation of these rights, visit http://un.org/en/udhrbook/PDF. And then /UDHR_booklet_en_web.pdf. You can just go to the un.org site as well, just at www.un.org. So that's some of the stuff that I've been working on to provide information for parents everywhere. Okay, these rights are those unalienable rights, those rights that cannot be denied any parent in any country that has signed this document. And we have to uphold our rights. We can't just say, oh, well, this document has been signed and therefore our rights are secure. We have to be able to make sure that they are upheld by our state officials, by the Department of Justice, by the President, and by all of the senators that are out there and the legislators, and anyone who has the quote-unquote authority to make decisions for the benefit of the public, I believe is what they're supposed to do. But that is obviously not the case when over 500,000 children are currently in foster care in the United States of America. And I know that this is not just happening in this country alone. So, this is happening everywhere, to every race, every religion, every class, and in many countries throughout the world. And we are standing up together to say this has got to stop. This is destroying our families. This is destroying our heritage. This is destroying our children. This is destroying humanity. And, you know, this is not what we want in this world today. There is so much destruction and pain and hatred in the world. And, you know, it's a lot of it is misguided. And we want to bring this back to the families, to strengthen family ties, not destroy family ties. Yes, parents don't always get along together. Yes, sometimes we have arguments and disagreements, but the point is to be an adult about it, to take affirmative actions and to start looking at alternatives to violent communication. And there's actually a series of books out that you can find online as well as in your local library called Nonviolent Communication. And I know that there's a workshop that goes with that. I don't have that information at this very moment, but if you Google it online, you will be able to come up with a whole list of books and seminars about nonviolent communication. One of the things that is really apparent today is that a lot of parents are under a lot of stress, whether it is financial stress, mental stress, or stress of too much on their plate and not enough assistance from family. And so it requires more of us to come out and help others, even if we don't know them. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of their neighbors, and it is scary to get out of our own little bubbles and talk to other people, especially when we have been used and abused by people and lost everything that we ever held dear. It's hard to get out there and start to open up and talk to other people. I know. I was in kind of hibernation for many, many, many months after my children were removed from my care, and I thought that everything was hopeless. And it just, I had to get out of that feeling, that situation. And I had to look inside of myself and find that strength deep within. I don't know if you believe in God or the God of your understanding or just love and heart-centered beliefs. But that's what it takes to come out of this deep depression, is to start loving yourself again, even if it doesn't seem like there's any hope. There's always hope. Always hope. And we're here to help you. We're here to offer information and guidance in your fight for your rights as a parent. We are looking for more parent advocates to join. And if you are a parent advocate that would be interested in becoming involved on our online assistance center, please contact us at Coalition for, that's the number 4, protection.com. And then you will receive some information and a link to a online service center called talk.to. And from there, just follow your directions, and there will be an orientation letter that will be sent from the Coalition for Protection.com as well. And you know, we hope to be able to provide this service free. At this time, it is free, and it is my hope that parent advocates will join and just volunteer a few hours every so often. Just be logged in. The parents that come to the site will see that you are online, and they will send you messages requesting your assistance. I would also like to share another photo that Fernando has offered to share. This is something that you could even put on your door. Okay? Now, it is your right to refuse entry to anybody in your house. And I got messed up. How did that happen? Okay. So it is your right to refuse entry to any person. I did that wrong. Okay, I have to fix that. I'm sorry. And you do not have to let anyone into your house unless they have a warrant. Okay? This is what you can do. Oh, we have another attendee that wants to come in. Oh, Misty's back. All right. Hello, Misty. So yes, here I have the form, which will be published soon to the coalition site. Uh-oh. And Misty, try again. So you can, I will come back to that because I think I'm still here. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry about that. All right, now I can do this. Hi, Misty. I somehow logged off for a second. It got all mixed up. I'm sorry about that. Welcome back.
It's okay. Thank you, love. Did Stephanie get her audio figured out?
No,
okay.
Doesn't seem that way. But she's here. Okay. So, I mean, I wish that we could, is there any way that you can chat, Stephanie?
Well, the last she said was that her daughter was using the phone, so she couldn't do anything until that was over. So it should be any time if she can come back.
Okay. Yeah. I was sharing, I wasn't trying, but I was sharing a flyer that people can put on their door, or where people will know that they know their rights and that nobody can enter their house without a warrant. I mean, and parents especially, are very susceptible to officials entering their home without their consent, and so this form would be a way to deter that.
So what does it say? Because I can see the form, but just so you know, like, unless you're sitting in front of a full screen computer, you probably can't read a lot of these screen shares.
Okay.
So what does it say?
I'm hungry.
That's okay. Hey, I haven't really introduced myself to the screen, so for future. So my name is Misty Fredericks, and I am a veteran of court abuse, domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and all kinds of stuff. So I went through a very difficult time and tragedy learning about the family law system in my area firsthand for a year and a half. It was traumatic. It has taken a lot of recovery. My story is not as bad as some, and I had to just take it out of the hands of the family law court by giving up. And I made that decision. At least my child was still going to be with her father, and I just had to take it out of their hands and no more consent to them having any say in my family, and so with my family. So ever since then, it's just been a place of where I'm in a place of recovering from what's happened on the emotional body levels. And I have worked diligently to do that. And I could take what I've learned and I could live happily ever after, knowing what I've learned and be in full acceptance of what has happened. And I can just live my life and have a good life. And I intend to do that. But I also, part of that for me is helping others to get through some of this stuff and preventing it from happening in our future. So while I don't think that I could take on something as big as family law courts in any town, I think that I can help to detour people from using those systems and consenting to those systems. And I want to help people come up with other better things, ways of handling their lives, their family issues and stuff, because those, if you're dealing with family law courts and you're dealing with a breakup of people, you know, like a divorce or something, the system as it is right now will totally destroy your family unit. And there's ways that people can co-parent that if they have the same goal, which is to have the best upbringing for their child and still work, or children, and still work together, then that can happen outside of court the way things are right now. So, in fact, I have something, if you like, I wanted to read. I'm going to look for it real quick. It was a news article when I was in Fillmore. It was on the front page news, front page of, I've just got it here, and this is perfect segue. Let me get into a little better lighting, and so I can set up my phone a little so I don't have to hold it, and I'll get to it. Okay, so this is from the Ventura County Star paper, and on the front page, it's probably going to show it backwards. So it's father admits he killed 5-year-olds. Alhambra, a couple's bitter custody battle became a tragedy that ended Tuesday with the father acknowledging he killed their 5-year-old son as his estranged wife gripped an urn with the boy's ashes and sobbed uncontrollably in the front row of a California courtroom. Amaraz Andresian Sr., 35, had his hands shackled at the waist and spoke softly when a prosecutor asked him if he willfully killed his son. Aramaz Jr. Andresian simply replied, yes. He pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in the April death of the boy after a family trip to Disneyland. Authorities said Andresian wanted to get back at his estranged wife, and the slaying set off a 2-month search. Andresian's attorney declined to comment on the theory, but said the killing was not planned, and his client told investigators where to find the boy's body. Prosecutors called the evidence in the case overwhelming, but have refused to say how Amaraz Jr. died. This is a tragedy. Cases like this really tug at your heartstrings, Deputy District Attorney Craig Humm said outside Los Angeles County Superior Court in suburban Alhambra. Now, Adressian's attorney Ambrosio Rodriguez said his client pleaded guilty partly to avoid the possibility of prosecutors adding a charge that could result in the death penalty. He is beyond words in regretting having committed such an act. Now, that article goes on, but all I see there is without any other facts about the case, I can guarantee you that the family law and the attorneys and the court case probably made enemies out of mother and father, very likely, very early on, which is what they do. And there is no better way to get back at your spouse than to injure their child, and especially to get back at a mother than to injure the child, because as everybody should know by now, we are genetically linked to our children. And no matter what happens, we're going to feel it. They feel us, we feel them. So what you do for both, you know, what you do with a child, you also do to the mother. And what happens with the mother also happens with the child. So it's very important to consider us as being units and connected. We have a right to say what happens to our children if they're not going to be in our care, because whatever's happening with them is happening to us. So, and vice versa. So, if there's anything I can do, my experience with my own personal family law court was awful, and it made enemies out of the whole family because of the costs, because of the manipulation tactics going on just to keep up something that didn't need to be, that could have been settled quickly and privately at that. It didn't need to go to the extent and the cost that it did. So what I hope to come out of whatever work I do now and in the future is a way for parents and to have peaceful resolutions regarding the custody of their children, and also that they can each have a right to have a say in what happens with their children. And also, child support is a big factor in why we war with each other, fathers and mothers, about who gets custody, because whoever gets custody gets the child support factor, and whoever loses has to pay the child support. And that's another issue. That should be on a need and ability to pay basis only. And it's, in my opinion. So, but I just wish to see less stories like this. This is the worst outcome. A child's death is the worst outcome. Absolutely. And so I'm grateful that even though I may not have custody of my child, I'm grateful that she's still alive. And all we can do is keep moving forward and keep doing the best that we can.
Thank you, Misty. You're right. It's a tragedy when one parent pits the child against another parent and causes harm to that child. I was saying earlier, when one is harmed, all are harmed. And when one is helped, all are helped. And when one is healed, all are healed. And that's something that you were sharing with me last month, and we shared as a meditation intro to this parent advocate meeting that week. That was in July, right? Let me see, what month am I in? It's like time just continually goes forward, and now it's almost 2 years after my parental rights were revoked, and I have filed requests for investigations, I have filed complaints, I have filed appeals and a habeas corpus and a petition request for administrative review. And I even filed a request for a criminal investigation with the Department of Justice, and I received a letter back saying that they can't do anything. I just received this letter, and it says, after carefully reviewing the information that you provided, we have decided not to take any further action on your complaint. Unfortunately, because the section receives thousands of ADA complaints each year, we do not have the resources to resolve all of them. Well, what are they doing there? I mean, what are they there for if not to uphold the law and resolve the federal crimes and the criminal acts of department facilitators and
theoretically, isn't them investigating certain things and then coming up with determinations about them enough? Like, it was determined by the DOJ that this is criminal. Now you take this and you go to the court or to whoever and you say, this is a criminal act. It's criminal. It says right here, this is exactly what they did. I want my hearing, or I mean, it's like, I struggle with what to do about the situation, because I believe so strongly in natural and universal law that I think everything works itself out, you know, in the end. Do I want to dip my toe back in that system at all? No, I don't necessarily. It doesn't mean I won't, but I mean, I don't. Why would I want to, except for to help others in the future, or now, if it's possible that it would. I would do it for that reason. I wouldn't do it for any reasons for myself, you know, because I feel karma is very real, and the way that everything works with us, it also should work with systems. And it feel like everything is beginning to, it's going to just implode, explode, just stop. And then we're faced with, okay, now that we have, because we have no real governing system right now. We have no legit governing system at all. So we need one. There's a need for one somehow. That's right, and in alignment with right and good for all, especially the children, especially our children. So,
well, that's the Human Rights Tribunal is investigating in human rights violations against parents and children at this time, and they are continuing to take reports and affidavits and evidence, and you can find a link and instructions on how you can become involved with this great investigation by the International Human Rights Tribunal. And
could you please real quick send me a link in my messenger to that, please?
Sure. I can do that. I can also put it in the chat menu window here on the Zoom call. If that.
Well, shoot, do that. But do send me a copy too, please, because I am just operating with just the phone right now, and it's very difficult for me to do some things. It's a long time.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I understand. I mean, I would not know what to do without this laptop, and this laptop I'm making it work triple time all the time, heating up, and oh my gosh, crashing. Mm-hmm. I just hope that it'll last me long enough. I'm working on putting together an office in the other room. You know, you've been there. You know what it looks like. And
that's right. As long as I can still sleep there.
Right? Sorry. I don't know what just happened there. But no, it's hard to deal with what limited resources we each have, but whatever we can do in our own capacity to bring justice to the human rights violations and the tyranny of people with power and people in office, then, you know, we're all doing what we can do. That is just so important. And if you can't get something done, give it to the universe. Let somebody else take it over. No single person can do this alone. We united can win. United, we can save our children. United, together, each of us doing whatever we can, we are capable of, and in the highest good of all concerned, our children, our families, and our neighbors and friends. Anything that you can do, keep doing it. Anything that you are doing for a better life for families around your town, in your community, keep doing it. We need everybody to just keep it on, because we will persevere. We shall overcome. And I am happy to welcome another participant, panelist, Stephen. Hello, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself? How about you can unmute? Hello, can you hear?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Welcome.
We can hear you.
I'm glad that you have joined us.
Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry?
You hear me now then?
Yes.
Okay. I apologize for being late. I didn't know that there was this going on.
No, it's all right. Latecomers are always welcome. Thank you for joining.
That's okay.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Stephen.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Nice to see you.
Can't quite see you, but that's okay. Oh, there you are. Now you're ready. I know the thing when you come on, here's a little suggestion on these calls for future. When people come on, let them be on for a couple minutes, hear what's going on, and then give them a chance to come on and be ready, I think. Because sometimes, like, I need to know what's going on. I'm not quite ready to talk yet. So, like, just give us a couple minutes to get acclimated to the discussion would be great.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Stephen, we're talking about parental rights and inalienable rights that parents have, and the fact that parents' inalienable rights are being denied repeatedly, and there's a gross tyranny of power, of people in power. My words are getting ahead of me here. I apologize. And we're here to educate parents about their rights and how to enforce their rights when dealing with officials, public entities, and private entities, and how we can help bring back family values and have families who are in conflict come to peaceful resolutions instead of turning into a battle. We're talking about people behaving as adults. You know, one of the things about a parent is that you've taken on this responsibility to be a parent. That means that you need to start learning to be an adult and behave in an adult manner, and that we all need help sometimes. So we're here to help.
Thank you. Good.
Would you like to say anything, Steve?
Well, I'm not sure what all you've been talking about. I know I'm pretty late. So I'll sit in and see if you have questions for me, and then I'll try to make sure when you have these again, I know I'm on time.
I have questions for you, like who are you, and how are you connected, and how did you hear about this call? And that would be helpful.
It came up on my email, so and then I recognized some of the people and the names that were in the email. Let's see. I've been in Arizona since 1955. Grew up here, started teaching here in 1975. And even the very first year that I was a teacher, CPS was a difficult system that did not help children. And over the next 42 years, it has only gotten worse. It is worse now than ever before in my career. And I've done everything from teaching at the elementary, high school, community college, university, people getting their master's degree in special education, school administration, behavioral health, mental health. And so luckily I've been through a lot. Nothing compared to what these moms go through with what CPS does to them and their children, but still a lot of good experiences that I can help people with. Is that helpful, Misty?
That's helpful. That's helpful. Oops. Thank you. Now I'm going to have technical difficulties a moment. Okay. Yep. Here we go. Okay. So now how can you help, you feel?
Well, one of the things I enjoy doing, it's probably kind of weird, but everybody has weird things they like doing. When it comes to paperwork, I can find a needle in a haystack, literally. And so I can look at documentation, because I have for so many years. I can look at documentation and tell you the dynamics of the people that did that documentation, and tell you what rights were violated, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a paralegal, I don't tend to, ever say anything that I am, but I can read. I've been reading since first grade. And so I can see when somebody's doing something that violates or is contrary to the laws, or just totally ignores the laws.
So you can help identify what rights or laws maybe were broken or being violated, and you could identify that. That's great. That's exactly what a lot of people need. So are you... See, so I think of my case, for example. My case is thick. It's pretty simple what happened, but I have it written up on like a bullet thing that's about 3 to 5 pages long, of just basically the facts of what all happened as they happened. And I see them all as violations. But if I were to do a complaint or something, to use your services.
Can you call back? I'm in a meeting. All right. I'm sorry, that was my daughter.
That's okay.
She's only 32, so. Yeah.
Okay. Just barely entered adulthood. Yeah. They say we stop growing at 28. It's altogether and forming, so it's kind of ridiculous that we do put our children out to be on their own at 18. But anyway.
Another topic.
Another topic. But so you're willing to offer some time, basically, to help people with this.
Well, like I say, if somebody, like a little while earlier this afternoon, a lady sent me some of the documents from her child's school. And so I just read through those documents, scanned them. And like I say, I've done so many thousands of these over the years, writing them myself and then supervising and teaching other people to write them. That it's pretty easy to see the dynamics of who's doing what, why they're doing it, those types of things that most people don't see or understand that part of it, and the dynamics of who the players are.
Right.
When it comes to like Sea Child Protective Services, I did a scorecard. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it's basically a PowerPoint I did. It's valid in all 50 states, and it's basically what happens, why they're taking your children, who does it, why they do it, that type of thing. So if you want that, I could try to clip that to somebody and then have it get sent out to you guys.
So, Stephen, are you in Montana?
I would love to be right now. It's still,
Where are you? You're in Arizona.
yeah, it's close to 100 still outside. So yeah, let's go to Montana for a couple of weeks and then I'll come back here.
Yeah, so I just sent you a friend request. If you would, please, when you accept it, would you please send me a message and then I'll be in touch with you on Facebook? Misty
Okay,
Frederick.
yeah, I'm on Facebook too.
Okay, I just need a little help sometimes with remembering some things. I get in touch with more and more people. So if you send me a message, that'll be great when you accept it. And
Okay.
then we can see how more we can connect. But thank you for being here and thank you for offering to help. Maybe your daughter needs to talk with you.
Go ahead, let me get a hold. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So I have muted Stephen because he has a personal call. And so I was also, oh, hold on, he's back. Hold on.
Kids, 3 that we adopted, and I have 15 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids. So the phone rings quite a bit.
Well, that's wonderful.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you. So what I was going to ask you is you were talking about this point-by-point form that you have for like explaining some of this, why CPS takes children and what the process is. And you said you could send it. Is
there a place on here where there's a link? Or
if you go to the website, coalitionforprotection.com, there's a, do you see in the messenger part?
Can you just contact me on Facebook and I can send it through there?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And then, so what Fernando was trying to talk about is about warrants and how warrants, you know, a person can't enter your house without a warrant, and that there's certain things that are required. And this is as per the 4th Amendment. He states a warrant is a carbon copy of a warrant that states that it's a warrant for removal of persons or things to be seized, defined in the warrant for removal, as well as the place that it's happening at. And so, like I was saying earlier, you know, you have the right to refuse anybody entry into your home unless they have this warrant to enter your home and to seize property and children. And if they do not have those warrants, they have no right to be coming in your house, and you have a right to refuse them entry. And that's a very important fact that a lot of parents do not always remember when they're faced with people they don't know, or they do know but only slightly, that are government officials. So
and CPS knows that's why they come like on Friday nights or Saturday morning or times like that where they kind of know normal people are doing something else besides guarding the front door. In Arizona, they've just totally bypassed the use of warrants when it comes to taking children here. In my career, I don't think I've ever seen an actual warrant used in Arizona to take a child. And I've seen thousands of cases where there's absolutely no probable cause whatsoever. There's no imminent danger.
right. And that's when, that's the only time they're supposed to be able to come in and remove a child, is when there is imminent danger present at the time of removal, right?
Right.
Would you be interested in participating in a program that the Coalition provides, which is an online service for parents to request person-to-person contact. It wouldn't be required to be logged in all the time, but just a couple of hours here or there. It's a private network, and it's just a one-on-one conversation. And parents can log in through the coalition website.
I have a difficult time saying no to people. Think about it this way. In Arizona, they have about 18,000 kids in state custody. That means there's 36,000 parents and about 2,000 grandparents. And that's just the ones in custody now. It's not about the ones that have the 40 that are taken every single day in Arizona. It doesn't, cousins, aunts, uncles, stepfathers, stepbrothers, yeah. So it's an incredible amount of people that have to suffer through this system. One of the things that really is like fingernails on a chalkboard to me is when people say the system is broken. It's not broken. This is exactly 100% the way this system is designed by the government and by the people that take our children.
Yeah.
It's not broken. It's the way it is. It's wrong. It's sick. It's dysfunctional, but it's designed to do exactly what it does: take children without any need for accountability, all the way through until your rights are severed to your children.
There are only 5 states in the United States that have a Parents' Bill of Rights right now. One of them is Arizona. Now, this was adopted in 2015 and is in state law, but I have discovered through my communication with other parents that despite the fact that there is a Parents' Bill of Rights, parents are still losing their rights at an astronomical rate. And I wonder what your thoughts are on how parents in Arizona can assert their rights when faced with these illegal seizures.
I'd love to see that because I've never heard of it, seen it. And in fact, I tried to do a Bill of Rights when I was head of a statewide children's organization, nonprofit. And it was just, it passed one of the legislative sessions, but it didn't make it any further than that.
So this is what I'm sharing now. This is the revised statute.
And the link at the bottom?
I can tell you what it is. It's the general provisions. It's Title 1, subsection 1-602, Parents' Bill of Rights. And this is what I've been working on, is putting together these parental rights booklets for each state. And this is the state that I started working on because Arizona is so rich with fraud and violations. It's just absurd. And I found this Parents' Bill of Rights. So I guess John McCain was one of the signers of this into legislation in Arizona in 2015, excuse me. And it says, all parents' rights are reserved to a parent of a minor child without obstruction or interference from this state, any political subdivision of this state, or any other government entity or any other institution, including the right to direct the education of the minor child, all rights of parents identified in Title 15, including the right to access and review all records relating to the minor child. What happened to 3? Oh my, well, like I said, I'm still working on this, but I've been extracting information from the internet, looking at what each state provides as far as parental rights, and how a lot of states, including Arizona, also discriminate against parents with disabilities and put them in the same category as parents who have addiction problems. And there's information you can find. This was a survey done by the National Council on Disability, and I'm going to bring it up in a second here. So, but just trying to educate parents on how can they assert their rights as parents when a CPS official is coming to their door. I mean, you have had experience in Arizona, so I hope that you can shed some light on that.
I don't know where to start.
The problem is that, and usually people aren't informed until they get the CPS worker at their door. Then by then, because they're uninformed at that time, they give up or lose their rights. So we have two things. How do we educate people before that ever happens? And how do we educate people quickly after it has?
Exactly. It's a much needed service. Because basically what the CPS worker does is intimidates the parent, catches them off guard, intimidates them, has police officers there to make it look more dramatic or like you might be violent, so they have to have the police there. Sometimes the police will make or insinuate threats, and then the CPS worker just basically says, if you don't sign this form, you won't get to see your kids. Simple as that. Happens all the time, every day. And that's not the way a warrant is supposed to be served. It's not the way the CPS workers are supposed to serve the paperwork to try and see if there's anything wrong with the child.
Now, is there oaths that you have to take before you become a CPS officer?
Not that I'd hate to call him an officer. And I don't know of any, that kind of gives a false representation that they have some authority, like a policeman or something, which a lot of parents believe.
Yeah, they act like they do.
Or sheriffs, and they act like it. They use the same type of intimidation and off guard. They'll lie. They have no problem lying to parents during that introductory meeting, and they're never held accountable. They commit perjury in the juvenile kiddie court, frequently. Just about every time I've sat in the courtroom, knowing the case, at least I know, but that's not true. So it's kind of, yeah. But the idea that they would know ahead of time, but you don't think about this until it actually is knocking on your door. And I think, it gets into some husband-wife type issues, and the mother will call on the dad or the dad will call on the mom, and they don't have a clue. They think they're causing problems for their spouse. They're causing the most devastating thing that ever happened to their child with the way they call Child Protective Services on the other parent. They have just destroyed that child's life. They may get at their spouse, but they're going to get it too.
Exactly.
Thank you, Steve, and I really appreciate your insight. I know in my state when this person graduates with a social worker degree, they take an oath. This was told to me by an ex-social worker, and so that's why I was asking that question.
That's more of a professional oath that they kind of like the same one doctors take and ignore, the Hippocratic Oath and those type of things. And so, yeah, okay. And it's a difficult thing for social workers in CPS. The ones that have a very high moral caliber they're out of there before you can, the ink is dry on the paperwork, because they just will not do the criminal activities and abuse of children and families that they're expected to do. And so you're left with a pool of individuals that are not the best and brightest that are coming out of our colleges. Because the best and the brightest, they get out of there. And so those ones that are not the best and brightest, they move up the chain of command. And the overturn here is somewhere upwards of 60%. So if you've got 100 CPS workers, a year from now, 60 of them will no longer be there. They'll have either moved up or out. So if you have say you had a sports team of any kind, and out of 100 athletes, 60 of them are gone every year, you're not going to build a dynasty in any sport with that type of turnover. Or a business. Can you imagine Intel or IBM or any of those losing 60% of the employees every year and having to retrain and re-enter people? No.
So what is the
Misty, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Misty, but we have a very patient Will here who's been putting his hand up and waiting his turn very patiently. And I would like to give him an opportunity to speak. Hello, Will. Are you still there with us? Will? Hello? Nope. Yes? Hello? Okay, well...
I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't my fault.
Are you there, Will? Hello? Okay, I guess we'll...
He has his mic muted.
We'll go on to Misty then. I'm sorry to have cut you off, Misty. Please, if you remember.
No, that's okay. I was just trying to type something to Will here. Maybe he's having the same problem. 1 second here. Basically, just go out, come back in, accept to use device's audio when you join.
Right.
I was just going to ask what does one do when there's some kind of abuse that one parent isn't okay with going on in the other parent's home, and the other parent simply won't talk about it, acknowledge it, or take steps to rectify it? I know that that's not really the reason why many people call CPS on their spouses or exes. I know sometimes there's the mandated reporters who, if they witness something, they're supposed to call, but and then teachers and doctors and everybody that's supposed to call. But the truth of it is right now we don't have a good place to call. CPS will likely, like you said, ruin or attempt to ruin a child and family's life. So is it worth what you witnessed in the grocery store of a mother or father trying to contain their child? Is that worth a call to CPS to have that child possibly ripped away without even a fair hearing or anything else? That's not going to provide solutions. For all you really want is for a parent not to know how to communicate with their child or parent their child in a non-violent way. And I feel like if people knew and understood how to do that, they would do it. They would do it. But anyway, I don't want to go too far off topic. Like, what does one do? What do you suggest one does instead of calling CPS in a number of situations?
there's counselors, there's all kinds of ways we can look at this. And, you know, I mean, there definitely is a necessity to choose appropriate people to speak with when dealing with conflict in the family and trying to resolve the conflict peacefully. It is advisable that you go seek some counseling. You can find a psychologist who is bound to keep your information confidential. You could also go to a pastor or a minister of a church, but be careful who you talk to, because a lot of people out there are mandated reporters and think it's their duty to report anything, including if there was a very verbal argument that happened between two parents, or, you know, something, one parent's hurt the other parent. And, you know, this kind of information can be taken the wrong way. It can be taken as and interpreted in a way that would provide CPS with all of, or DCSF, or whatever you want to call it, with all the reason they need to come and investigate. And so I would suggest that people be very careful who they talk to. Make sure that you talk to somebody who has to keep your information confidential. I think that's really important. But somebody who can help you resolve these issues without having to go to the police, without having to go to the Department of Children and Families, without having to go to these public resources centers that actually are not looking out for your best interest at all. That's my advice.
So when it comes to, see, the reason why nobody has jurisdiction or nobody can help with your complaints is because CPS is like its own entity that's untouchable, that somehow controls what happens to your children. You know, and they have more power than parents. They have more power than everybody. And if you go to counseling ever, and there are always records kept, and the guardian ad litem can at any time request all your information. So like when you say, like, there seem to be a lot of barriers, but what we have a lot of times is one parent willing to work it out or come to resolution, and another parent unwilling. And that's when the need for maybe another entity looking after the best interest of the child and family could step in and help and offer resolution, or may require it. That's what the CPS is supposed to be doing on a number of things, but they seem to feel their job is to take children away from parents and even families. I mean, this is ridiculous. What parent would choose to have their child go with strangers over their family if given the choice? You know, almost none that I know, unless their family is really screwed up and they know it. You know, so it's just horrendous what's going on. And every day that we spend, like, I'm often in conflict. Every day that we spend talking about it, there's hundreds of more families affected. And it's difficult to know what to do. If anything there is to do, what's the right thing to do? How can we stop this? Because it's hurting. It's not just hurting those children and those families. It's hurting all of us. When one is harmed, all are harmed. It's hurting all of us. So it needs to stop. It needs to halt. I talk to people that have these plans that are a year and two down the way, but in the meantime, you're dealing with hundreds of broken lives who will be just barely at a place to start recovering 2 and 3 and 5 years down the line. It takes so much time. I see Will's back. Hopefully he can talk. I'll pass over the mic.
Thank you, Misty. You know, it's true that it seems like we have no power in this situation. It seems that way because we've been told that we have no power. We have been told that we have no choice. When my children were removed from my custody, I was told I did not have any choice but to do exactly what they told me to. The director of CPS yelled and screamed at me because I was not willing to go to a homeless shelter, and I was not willing to do everything that he was demanding of me because it would cause my body to become ill. And, you know, that again goes back to there are laws in most states around this country that discriminate against parents with disabilities. And this is unconstitutional. Excuse me. And I wanted to welcome Will back, and I hope that, Will, can you hear me? Can you speak? Welcome. I'm sorry if you are trying to communicate. There is no sound. I cannot hear you. Okay, well, you muted yourself now. You were not muted a moment ago. I wonder how this is happening because you were on last week's call. No, that wasn't last week. That was just a few days ago. Time is speeding so fast. Where did it all go? All right, well, thank you for joining us in spirit and in the dark screen. I'm happy you are here, and I hope that we can hear from you soon. I wanted to share another a little bit more information that Fernando has offered. This is regarding, again, I can't even come up with it right now. I'm sorry. I will read it to you. This is regarding warrants and how they have to be signed by a judge and they have to be within compliance. And let's see, here we go. So, he states the Fourth Amendment in overview interest protected. The Fourth Amendment of the United States provides the right of people to secure their persons, houses, papers, and stuff. Okay, so this must be signed by a judicial officer, and you know, there must be a TPR proceeding, must happen before a parent's rights are revoked, and there must be, you can put together an affidavit, a statement of facts, and have it signed by a judicial officer, and this is a statement of facts as to what happened from your perspective. We encourage all parents who are going through these trauma of losing their children to the Department of Child and Families to put your facts together and take them into court and have them filed in court as soon as possible. Because if you don't, it's a notary. You don't need to do it by a judicial officer, signed by a judicial officer, but at least by a notary. And this is important because in these courts, anything that's documented is going to be on record. Anything that is not documented is not going to be on record. So whatever CPS has put together as statements against you, you know, if you refute them in court, it's not going to be the same as if you provide an affidavit and statement of facts from your perspective and what you're talking about, what your truth is. And you have a right to do that, and it is very important that you exercise that right. And let's see what else he was also saying. CPS workers are not law enforcement officers. They act fraudulently, without authority, and to act lawfully. They don't have the authority to arrest anyone, to take anyone to jail, or to press criminal charges against anyone either. If you have been accused of abuse and neglect of your child, those are criminal charges. Okay? Family court is not the court for those charges to be fought. You have the right to request that your case be put in the right court, which is the criminal court, and you can stand up for that right. You stand up and say, listen, I'm being accused of this. I want to see my accusers, I want to see the evidence, and I want to have a trial by jury. And I have a right to all of those things. And until that time, I do not recognize your authority over me, or you have no jurisdiction over this case. And that's some of what parents don't understand. They are not being educated to be able to enforce their rights. And so that's what we're here for, to talk about and share this information. And Will has raised his hand again. Let's see if Will can say hello. Hello, Will. Oh, I'm sorry, Will. There must be some audio output issue with the computer tonight. Have you, well, I'm sure you know all of the tricks of the trade, but just in case, turn up the volume on your computer. Maybe that would help. Is there any way you can go down to there's the bottom of the video screen, there's a chat option, and you can maybe get the chat window open and ask your question there. I can relay it.
Lara.
Yeah.
Lara, he put his question. He wants to be on, let's see, on the list. 1 second. Wants to be on the list of people to be notified of the calendar of this panel. And I asked for his contact info because I don't know who this is. So hold on. Exactly. Let me see. So I'm going to just send him my email.
Well, welcome to the show, Will, and I apologize for the audio output issue, but hopefully you'll be able to resolve that. And if you wish to, like I said, there is a chat option here as well. Oh, Stephen left. All right. Well, I hope he will join us again next time we have our meeting. And it is getting to be about the last 15 minutes of the Parent Advocate meeting, and I am so happy that everybody has been able to join us in whatever capacity they have been able to. We appreciate all of your support. We're continuing to do our individual tasks, and this is a great forum for us to be able to talk and communicate about what we've learned and share with others the information. And I hope that everybody has enjoyed the meeting tonight and has learned something. You know, you are always welcome to share this information with anybody who is dealing with the Department of Children and Family Services, fraudulent activity by any officials of any kind. We're here to offer solutions. Right, Misty?
That's right. We are the solutions.
That's
For sure. All of us are. So, yeah, thank you for doing this, Lyra. You're a wonderful person, a wonderful being. And I'm glad Stephen was here, and HP, whoever you are, and Will, hopefully we get to talk soon. And thank you for all that you're all doing. I know we're all working together, and yeah, just keep keeping on, for sure.
Now, if any of you are all able to offer volunteer 2 hours of your time once a week at the very least, to become an online parent advocate, we have a online service that we provide through the Coalition for, that's the number 4, protection.com. And this service is a chat interface service that is a private service and is provided for all of our parents who come in distress. And, you know, parents don't always come with legal questions. They don't always come asking for specific information that only a lawyer could give, or specific assistance that only a lawyer could give. Usually parents are requesting assistance with just trying to understand what their rights are and understand what's going on. How did this happen? What resources, what support is out there? And we are here to help as parent advocates. And there's been a lot of parents that have been afraid to speak out, to connect with other people. And Will, I think I hear you. Will, are you there?
I guess so, yes.
All right.
You can hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. It's actually Wilmina, so
Oh,
I just wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's my fault.
Bill on the.
They don't type it all the way out. I just wanted to say a quick thing about warrants. So what's happening, and I think Stephen alluded to this earlier on in the conversation, is that in Arizona, no one's getting warrants. Like the police aren't getting warrants. Same thing's happening in California, happened in Indiana, where they actually said they don't have to get warrants. And if you think it was done illegally, that you can sue. But then, of course, all the immunities come out. And so when you try and sue because you were denied your Fourth Amendment rights, it's really hard to get through all the immunities that all the states, and especially California, claims 11th Amendment immunity for everything. And then all the counties will claim immunity. And, of course, the judges have complete immunity. So basically, parents trying to enforce their Fourth Amendment rights are facing a losing battle.
They don't have immunity, Wilmina. It's against the federal Constitution. They're actually, and Fernando.
Fernando's not a lawyer. In Indiana, they actually had court cases where they agreed that you may have been illegally searched and seized, but to try and actually get money back or compensation or damages for that is nearly impossible. The judges, of course, have absolute immunity. You're not going to find a judge out there who had to pay you money because your house was illegally searched or seized.
I have a question. So in my case, everything happened. No judges were hardly involved in my situation. Everything was done by commissioners who were attorneys. Every single person that had anything to do with my case was an attorney, including the guardian ad litem, but no judge. So it never got to that. It went on for a year and a half, never seeing a judge. So in York, where you're saying they have immunity, and I know Lyra's probably going to show how judges don't, but what I want to know is, do the commissioners and the attorneys have immunity?
Commissioners do if they're acting in a judicial capacity. So if they're making decisions, and I don't know, did you get TPR'd?
What's that?
Terminated? Were your parental rights terminated?
No, no. It was my matter was a family law matter. I went just briefly. I'll say I went and got a restraining order, after my ex had kidnapped my daughter, and a series of other things had happened. And I got the restraining order and I got my daughter back. Then he hired an attorney who interfered with us getting to the hearing 4 days before, cited all this false stuff under false claims. My daughter was like taken from me to go stay with grandparents for what ended up being like 10 days. I got her back, and then everything was pending a guardian ad litem investigation. But so I went from having her full time to having her not at all for the 10 days, and then to having her half time, and then to having her only 4 days a month. All without a judge, all commissioner stuff, and all based on what the attorney falsely claimed, or the guardian ad litem and the attorney falsely claimed.
Okay, so you can, along the way, you can object to a commissioner. You have a right to be heard by a judge, which probably you didn't, and that's really a tricky thing to do because now you've made the commissioner mad and the judge mad. But you have a right to be heard by a judge. If you don't insist on that right, and the commissioner hears the case, they have judicial immunity because they're acting in a judicial capacity. And there aren't any cases that anyone has been able to come up with that judges have to pay you damages for decisions that they made, even in violation of your constitutional rights. Now, there are judges, and it's becoming more common because I think we have way more judges than what we've had in the past. So, of course, you're going to have some where, a judge got indicted because he slept with one of the parties, or a judge got indicted because they were driving drunk and they were under breathalyzer tests and that type of thing, and they were still driving drunk. And those types of things are going to happen, but those are not things that you get to prosecute them for. Those are things that the district attorney's office is going to prosecute them for. And even then, I don't know how the money situation works on that side, but it would be money that they owed the state. It wouldn't be money that would come back to a party. So when a party like you or I try and sue a judge anywhere in the United States, they're all going to have judicial immunity. They're not going to owe you money. What may happen is that you might go to federal court and say, this judge violated my constitutional rights. And the federal court will go back to the state court and said, you violated this person's constitutional rights. You have to make it right. And that's called prospective relief. And then they change everything. But by that time, your kid's been damaged, you've been damaged, and you don't get compensation for those damages from the judge. So as far as judicial immunity, I know people keep trying to sue judges, and absolutely you should keep them in your lawsuits and that type of thing. But I'm going to tell you, they get thrown out all the time right away. So unless someone's made it through where a judge actually had to pay damages, and Lyra, you can come up with a case, then I'm telling you they have judicial immunity, and nobody's ever been able to say that they don't. And
Brian,
even when they do say, oh, this judge
with you,
this judge had to pay
about
millions of dollars, it's usually the county that had to pay millions of dollars, which is different than a judge.
All right. Well, I am sharing with you some information that you can choose to heed or not. Okay, this is what I feel is really what's happening here. Because the judges are all in the same bed together, they're covering each other's absences. This means that they are doing a judicial immunity based on the buddy-buddy system, but that is not the law. And so I think that
it is the law.
No, there's no law that says they have immunity. They don't have immunity. They may make you think that they have immunity. Brian Kinter has won. There have been other people that have won lawsuits, civil or criminal lawsuits against judges, and there's actually been posts and articles that I have read, and I wish that I could pull them up right now. I'm sorry that I can't, but that's the thing, is that people think because everybody is buddy-buddy and everybody's saying that they have immunity, that they have immunity, but that is not the truth. They don't have immunity. It is up to us as the citizens of this country to uphold our rights and the laws, even when we're dealing with judges and attorneys and guardian ad litems and other government officials who are acting in the judicial role. Nobody is immune. So, I wish I could read all of this. My screen is having a little bit of trouble, I guess because I minimized it. I'm not sure how this happened. Okay.
Lyra, honey,
Mm-hmm.
I think that when I was listening to you speaking, it was coming to me that, see, from your perspective, as a citizen, we have the right to sue anybody for damages that their negligence caused us in any role. And I think that what Wilhelmina is saying is that as a citizen, if we are in that system, then the judges, we consent to somehow give some sort of automatic consent if we're saying we're in the system that we're not going to hold them accountable. Is there such a thing like that?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what it comes down to is how are you going to be identified in the system, and this is something I'm really looking at closely. Our rights as a citizen says we have the right to be considered as a person. Is a person different from a citizen? And if so, how so? And also, do we really want to have these rights? It comes with a trade-off.
Well,
Like we're all citizens because I'm a citizen and I'm in the system because my mother had me, I was born here, and she filed a birth certificate to the fact, that I was born here and I'm a citizen. But with everything, my rights have been horribly violated and I seem to have nothing I can do. So somebody is in violation of the contract that between a citizen and its government severely. So do I want to even call myself a citizen? I don't know.
Well, I think that really what it boils down to is whether or not people actually know the law and the case precedent that has been set. And so I know that Fernando is not a lawyer, and there are a lot of people out there who are not lawyers. Wilhelmina is not a lawyer either. And so, but, we got to look at law and study law and then look at the case precedent that has been set in these laws. And there is law that states very specifically that states and public entities are not immune, except for under certain very specific circumstances. And this is not one of them. And then, also state legislation waiving immunity. Advocates in several states this is from Fernando again, advocates in several states have sought state legislation waiving sovereign immunity in suits to enforce federal laws. Minnesota attempted to enact such a law in 2005, subjecting the state to suit under certain federal employment laws in any court of complete jurisdiction. 52. However, in a 1999 case, the Supreme Court suggested in dicta in the phrase "in any court of competent jurisdiction," which would not be sufficient to waive state sovereign immunity. So this is some of what he's talking about. How the people, states and courts and judges can say that they're immune, but there's actual laws that say there is not that immunity, okay? In any court of competent jurisdiction, language did not waive state immunity to suit in federal court for a claim under a state civil rights law. In evaluating state statutes that purport to waive sovereign immunity, courts often view such statutes skeptically. For example, in King versus State, the Nebraska Supreme Court pronounced that waiver of sovereign immunity will only be found where stated by the most express language or by such overwhelming implications from the text as will leave no room for any other reasonable construction. Accordingly, advocates drafted state consent laws should explicitly specify consent to suit in federal court. So, you know, it's about people recognizing what our rights are and what the precedent is, and you know how we can exercise our rights. And you know, I think that we just have to keep going forward and asserting our rights as parents, and hopefully we will be able to hold those accountable who have violated our civil rights, whether or not they are judges or lawyers or social workers, or, you know, it should not matter. Everybody should be held accountable for their actions. They want parents to be held accountable for our actions. They tell us to take responsibility for being victims, even. So why are they not taking responsibility for their bad decisions? Wilmina, yes, welcome back. I cannot hear you. I'm sorry. Well, it is 8:01, and we have had a very constructive conversation. I appreciate everybody for participating tonight. And I hope that we will have more constructive conversations throughout the next few weeks and months. And we are here to help parents. Yes, Miss.
And I just want to say too that I'm looking to connect with people more in person. I know these calls are, you know, they're kind of working out a little, but I do better with working on people one-on-one. So I am going to be traveling and around. So I'm intending on potentially going to Oregon, down to California, over to Arizona, over to New Mexico, if in the next short period of time, like a week or two. And then, so if people want to connect with me personally, if you're on my route, then connect with me, send me a message or whatever. Because I don't want to lose this. It's a big thing. It's important work that we're doing. We're doing it for our children, we're doing it for each other, we're doing it for the future generations, we're doing it for all those planning to have children in the near future. You need to understand your rights before you do, and so that you know how to uphold them in case you ever have to.
Yes.
And we're looking for solutions to, you know, to abuse, period. All forms of abuse, family abuse, familial abuse, parent-child, relationship abuse, narcissistic abuse, courtroom abuse. We're looking for solutions to all those things, and look forward to and are living in that world now where those things don't exist. So I'm just going to keep holding the vision and keep moving forward. I love you all. I love you, Lyra. And Will, thank you for joining us. And I hope that next time we get to hear you all the way.
Wilmina, yes, thank you,
I have your email.
Thank you, all of you, and I plan on having another parent advocate meeting. Well, the next time, I actually have some people asking about meeting on Friday this week, and that's a possibility. We have been conducting meetings on Saturday evenings. We have also been conducting meetings here on Wednesdays. So, you know, we're here to help. If there is another day that you would like to join us in these meetings, please let me know and we will set up a time. I appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We do this for the love of our children, love of our families. Please join us and become a parent advocate today. The more of us out there, the more likely we'll be able to stop this tyrannical treatment of families everywhere. Thank you, and peace be with all of you. Have a good night.